Welcome to the Mind Coach System audio experience. Learn this simple and effective process to unlock your peak potential in life and business. Now, please enjoy this exciting presentation from author and transformational coach David Loshelder.
All right. Hey, what's up, Adam?
What's going on?
Not too much, man. So today, what are we talking about today?
We're going to be talking about dreamstorming.
Dreamstorming. Yeah. I think we should all dream more, shouldn't we?
A little bit.
Yeah. Welcome to the Mind Coach podcast, and we are your two consultants, friends, confidants of personal development and business development. So, hey, man. So we were talking about this the other day. We were talking about dreamstorming, and I think it came up because I was mentioning the session I had with one of my clients, and we were talking about what they really wanted in life, and they kind of looked at me and they were kind of dumbfounded. And I said, "Well, what's your dreams?" And they just stared at me, and I started to realize, like, holy crap, a lot of people don't even think about like what they dream about. They're doing their day-to-day thing, taking the kids to baseball practice, working hard, getting a bite to eat, taking a shower, doing their thing, but nobody stops and says, what is my ultimate dream or dreams?
Yeah, I think one thing that's super interesting to me is a lot of people go through life, and us included at points, right, where it just becomes a almost automatic. You're on autopilot. You're not really planning where you're going. You're just start going through the motions, and you have no actual map to where you want to go, what you want to become, what you want to achieve, what you want to have. And unless you take the time out of your day to really sit down and actually plan this out, you're just going to go on a random walk into the woods, wherever, and you're going to end up somewhere, but it's not going to be where you want to go, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's like life's inertia, right? It's you're just the leaf in the wind at that point, and something grabs your attention or something pushes you over, and you're just kind of flying away. If you don't get control of it and really have a good direction and really think about like clearly what that would be.
Yeah.
I had a couple the other day. We were talking about what they wanted, but not only but what they wanted, but what they wanted individually. Like I said, what do you want personally, individually, and then what do you want together? And kind of working through that. It was really interesting to kind of hear like, oh, okay, they didn't realize like what the other person's dreams would be, and they didn't realize what their dreams were until they really thought about it. And I just kept asking, and kind of went through the 10 categories of life, and from there we kind of talked about the 10 categories, and they were able to kind of fill in the blanks from there. So it was super interesting, but it does take purpose and energy to do that, and really a roadmap. And I think that what we've done, some of the stuff that we've learned, I think has really kind of obviously helped me personally to think about that as well, and take a look at our lives and say, okay, well, what do we really want?
Yeah, it's one of those things too that if you don't make it a priority, it never happens. Like
no.
People spend more time on Facebook, checking, getting their mail from the mailbox, taking out their trash than they do planning their life. So what's more important, right? But it's that vision into the future. It's also scary. It's hard process. It actually takes genuine thinking time to go through that process and be very conscious about where you want to go. And again, like doesn't have to be like, okay, this is it, and I have to stick to this, and this is my plan, and with no flexibility whatsoever. No, that's not the case. But you got to start somewhere, and then you can make adjustments to your path as you go. If you say, hey, I want to, do this career, and you find out that it's just awful, you hate it, then you can shift. It's okay. But you at least took a conscious direction, and you were in control of your life instead of just letting it go wherever you wanted to. And
I mean, don't you think that's where people, why don't they dream? What is it that stops them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I think everyone dreams. Everyone dreams. Whether or not they take action to go that route I think is another. Like Albert Einstein is one of the most famous dreamers of our time ever in history, right? So Albert Einstein was famous for daydreaming in school. He would think about how light traveled and all these things, and these were the thoughts that he had that were coming to him. And then he made a career out of it, right? He started doing experiments, he started studying, he started doing these things to take action towards what he was dreaming about. And same thing goes for people like Elon Musk making the reusable rocket, or Steve Jobs, or Thomas Edison. Like anything that humanity has ever created started with a dream or a vision. Whether or not you do that dream or vision is, we've come up with cool ideas like heated socks. I mean, someone came up with heated socks, and someone had the ability to go and make that into reality. Whether I think we dream all day long, it's the action. Real life might get in the way. You have kids, you have other responsibilities that you need to do, right? It's not easy, but you have to make the time. You have to sacrifice something to make that progress in that direction, right?
Yeah, I'm going to agree and disagree with part of that. I agree that things get in the way. Life gets in the way. All the stuff that's happening, you're so caught up in everything else, and everything is such a micromanaged with your schedule and your job and with your family, et cetera, or whatever. And I think that's one of the reasons why people don't really sit down and take a look and say, what do I really want? What do I really want to live? How do I want to live, and what do I want in life? And it's so easy to get caught up saying, oh, I got to pay my taxes, and I have to pay my mortgage, and I have to do this, and I have to go to work, and oh, my car broke down, and you get caught up, and there's just no time left between me saying, okay, well, I want a trip to Europe. People say that, some people do it, some people don't, but then those type of things are like, they don't do it because I think part of it too, and this is where I'm going to disagree a little bit, is because of fear.
Yeah.
I think being afraid of dreaming too big because you don't think you can do it. It's kind of like the flea experiment. You ever heard about the flea experiment, where they put fleas in a jar and they put a lid over the top of the jar, and the fleas would bounce up into the jar, and eventually they would just stay at the bottom, and then you'd take the lid off, and they would just stay in the jar because they're trained. They can only go so far. And I think a lot of times, like, we're trained, whatever that would be, that we can only go so far. So we're kind of stuck in a jar. So our dreams are out here, but we don't think we can even do it. So we don't even try.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, I think we're both on the same page with this. I think there's a couple reasons why people don't.
Yeah.
And you're kind of releasing that and knowing, like, look, I'm stuck in a jar right now. The lid's off. I can leave the jar. I just need to think about it a little bit harder, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, you're broke. You don't have enough money to buy a coffee, but you're dreaming about living in Hawaii and retiring and all these things. Just seems so far fetched and far away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if and we go through the process in our book, but if you're able to reverse engineer that step by step, and going through, okay, what's the strategy I'm going to take to get there? It starts making it more realistic. It starts making the steps more doable and putting one foot after the other and just steady, small progress. It reminds me of the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? Right? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
But you have to know where to chew, how to chew, right? Of the elephant, or else.
Right. How much time it takes, all that.
Yeah. So it's a process, and you can set, we talk about milestones. I think another component based on talking about fear is, and we talk about this topic a lot, is learned helplessness. This is where it becomes dangerous, because you start trying and trying these things. You're like, I'm going to become multimillionaire. I want to own my own business. And then you go and try and fail, and then try again and fail, and then try again and fail again, and try again. And then you get sued and try again. And you're, you name it, like a myriad of problems show up. And some of it could be your fault. Some of it could be totally outside your control. Some of it could be, force majeure, where, God takes over and did something, right? And you get this learned helplessness where you're like, you know what, no matter what I do, there's no chance in hell I'm going to succeed, because I've just failed so many times that why try? And that's like, the fly analogy, right? It's the same. They give up there, and it's very common, and it's hard, and that's why the biggest part of my book talks about mindset.
Yeah,
that's the only way you can overcome that stuff. It's the only way.
Yeah, I think the awareness of where you are, the assessment of how you need to look at this whole scenario, and then what types of actions you have to take. It's the 3A, right? And you have to be aware of it first. You got to be aware that you're in that little cup, you're in the box, okay? And then assess, like, okay, well, is this reality? What is the best case scenario here? What can I do? What are the possibilities? And then take a look at those and assess that and say, is it true that I can't leave? And if you say, well, no, it's not true, I can leave because there's nothing holding me back. The only thing that's holding me back is my creativity and my energy and my planning and my intelligence and my resources. That's it. I mean, you can utilize all that, and then your dreams can become a reality. And that's where you're talking about strategy and utilizing, your outside and inside strengths. I think it's important to talk about, because I don't think many people, actually talk about the whole notion of, how do I achieve my dreams? You hear that, but there's no roadmap. Right. And I think that, like, kind of giving the audience a roadmap is going to be pretty important. So I think that's, so where do we start, right? Where do we start? If, as my dream is to go to Europe and live in Italy or something, where do I start? How do I do this?
Yeah, I mean, dreaming, like we say, like everything kind of starts with the vision. That's right. What do you want to become? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What kind of life do you want? Right. And the way you get to those answers is through questions. The better questions you have, the better answers you're going to get. And we have something called the 10 categories of life, which is a guide, but it's not the end all be all. You can ask yourself any question you want in the world. It doesn't matter, but this is a guide because it goes through 10 different categories, which will make you think deeper about your dream. Like, most people are like, okay, what's your dream? Oh, I want to be a multimillionaire and own a Ferrari, right? And then they stop there, or whatever it might be, but they don't go any deeper, and they don't realize that having the Ferrari is not really what they want. Actually what they want is to have fun. They want to feel free. They want to have financial freedom. they can still accomplish those things with less material possessions, right? And digging into, we talk about the next step, which is okay, what's your why? Why do you want this?
Yeah.
But for this talk, we're going to be talking about dreams. So we're going to take the listeners here and anybody that might be watching the video, we're going to take you through the 10 categories right now. So if you want, you can get out a pen and paper, and we're going to take you through them right now. So number one, the first category is family and home. So what does your dream home, for example, might look like? Where is it located? And what does your family look like? And you can go ahead and pause. You want to take the next one, Dave?
Yeah. The next one's recreation and fun. You want to think about like what type of recreation. Like I talked about, vacation, traveling, activities, those type of things are the fun parts of life, right? So you want to like dream about that. What do you want to do there? What type of recreation and fun do you want to do for yourself, with your family, with your friends, with other people in your community? Maybe it's a church, maybe it's a sporting event or whatever. So you think about that. What does that look like? Because really what we're doing here is we're building a lifestyle. You want to build, because there's standard of living and quality of life. So we want to build that quality of life by bringing that in and say, okay, how can I suck the juice out of life? And by thinking about something like this, especially recreation and fun, is going to be really important.
Yeah, third is personal growth. So what are you going to be doing to grow yourself? So to maybe aim higher, or what does that bigger kind of dream look like for you? Who do you want to become? What do you dream about learning? What do you dream about doing? Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to play guitar. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to sing. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to, do a particular skill, or anything that has been in the back of your mind or been of interest to you. How do you keep growing as a person? Learning, educating, growing. This could be in a lot of different facets. So it could be growing yourself as someone that supports the community. Maybe you're in helping nonprofits or giving back to the community in some way. What are you going to do to grow yourself?
And the next one is your physical health and self-image. This is the one that I am not surprised, but it's almost, you wouldn't believe how many people struggle with self-image. And physical health obviously is kind of something where you're looking at two different categories, which is your diet and exercise, that type of thing, right? But then how do you what do you want to look like? How do you want to feel? What type of healthy lifestyle do you want to live? Those things are really something that you want to kind of pull into your life and say, okay, because once you're doing that type of stuff, theoretically, and I've seen this through our practice, is your self-image and self-esteem and self-efficacy do increase. They become more robust, just by the action of taking care of yourself and setting those goals. Once you start setting goals for yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that really sets something to where you can find yourself in a better place in the future. And dreaming about that is all where it starts, man.
Yeah. Next is spiritual. So what does your spirituality look like to you? How do you want to practice your spirituality? Whether you're into your religion or not, having that aspect of connection with nature, connection with whoever you believe to be, God, whoever, something that's maybe greater than you, right? What does that look like? How would you take that to what the ideal version of yourself would become. And you can see and envision what that would look like. That's an interesting one, because not a lot of people think about that. They kind of say, okay, I'm going to go to church every Sunday or whatever it might be, and kind of go through the motions. But if you were to really expand that and take that to the next level of your ideal self, what would that be? What would that look like?
And the next one is career and work. We spend most of our times working, at work, doing work, making money for our families, for ourselves. And a lot of people get into the whole rat race of work, and they just get a job and they do it. And they feel miserable about it, and it's like, okay, what do you really want to do? And so by working, you can really do anything you want to, but what type of work do you want to do? What type of contribution do you want to make? And I think that they say, oh, it's just a job. It's just a job. I get 9 to 5. I can't wait till Friday. Right. And like that, I talk about not thinking about dreaming about what you actually want to do. So I think with work, that's the one thing that when you're looking at your life and quality and way you spend your time, that's something that you really want to dream about, because you can do anything you want. And that might sound trite, but it really is true when you can think about, what do you really enjoy and how can you inculcate that into maybe some type of career, or maybe it's a part-time job. Maybe you want to do something like that where it's like, okay, fine. And you can work on a special project or something, but that type of dreaming about your work and your career and your job and your contribution, I think that's really something that, I think we all should do more of, and not just like, well, I got a job, got to go to work. I think that's kind of a, it could be a real, it could drain you in life if you're not careful. And I think we've all been there, at least a lot of people have been there at one time or the other. So,
yeah, let me add to that, because a lot of people, maybe you're in the family business, or you don't really have as much of a choice with your work or career. You can think about, okay, if you're investing your time in that business, what emotions are important to you that you can inculcate into your career, so that you are still getting those feelings of giving. How can you create an environment where you're at in what you're doing right now that could still provide you with what you need to feel fulfilled? Maybe it's important to you to work in a very aesthetically pleasing environment. Well, you could redecorate your office, right? That would take it up a notch. Maybe it's important to you to deal with a particular type of population. You could make an effort to talk with your boss or whatever it is to reach out to that population in what you do. So there's ways to kind of what they call intrapreneurship, where you're kind of thinking inside the box of your current job or workplace and how to make that fit your dream. So it's not just going and be like, oh, I want to sell baseball cards. That's my dream job. And you're, a full-time accountant. Like, that's kind of a big jump, right? You'll have to make that transition, over time if you're going to go all in. But you might be able to incorporate some of that together.
Or maybe not. Maybe you lose your job and got to sell baseball cards anyway.
Never know.
You don't got a choice.
So let's see, financial and wealth is the next one. So how much money would you have? How much, what would you do with it? How much do you want to make? And where would you invest your money? So again, we're going deep in all of these subjects. This is not many people go to this level of thinking about, okay, so if you're making money, most people stop at, oh, I want to make, $100,000 a year or whatever it is. They stop there. Well, okay, so where are you going to invest that money? where are you going to place that? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to utilize that to accomplish your other sections of your dream? And then you can reverse engineer that later on. We talk about that as far as, okay, how much does it really take to live your dream life? If you want to be chauffeured around in a limousine the rest of your life, okay, what is that going to cost? Like, you can actually quantify all of that and work it backwards to where, you'll find out that it really doesn't take as much as you're probably asking for to live the life you want to live.
So I can get a driver?
You can.
Drive me to work in the morning?
Well, let's play it out. So how much do you think a driver is per hour?
Oh, geez, I don't know. Let's see. I don't really.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. Let's say $20.
$20 an hour. How many hours a week do you want to be driven around?
5.
5 hours. Okay, so you got $100 a week.
Yeah. Okay.
$100 a week. So
all right.
$400 a month.
Okay. Can I borrow it from you?
my rates are a little higher than that.
All right, we're in a social life. Your social life is obviously we are animals of we're creatures of social interaction, if you will, and this is where I think COVID really screwed things up, because it kind of segmented everybody out. And I think that's where a lot of depression came in. There's a lot of people that were drinking more, and all because, we are social creatures and we need that. So the question now is, since we're able to, go out, hang out, do things, spend time, indoors, outdoors, what type of social life do you want to create? Some people say, well, I don't have a lot of time and I can't. Well, the question still stands. What type of social life do you want? And, where do you want to spend your time? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with people that you enjoy being with? And how many friends do you want? Do you want more friends? Do you want less friends? Those type of things. And you can create all that by dreaming about, what it feels like. And I think, Adam, you talked about feeling, right? What does it feel like to do the certain things? What type of feelings do I want to, and emotions do I want to resonate with me, right? And that's when there's the point. You're not doing it because you have to do it. You're doing it because you want to feel good. And so, how do you create a social life that has some benefit, to you and others? And I think that's important. I think you're thinking about, your time, and thinking about people, and thinking about who you want to hang out with and what you want to do. Some people want to go play tennis. Some people want to, build a fire in their backyard and, and cook marshmallows. Some people want to go to Kennywood or amusement parks or whatever. So it just depends what you want to do.
So let me take this back a bit. So why are we doing this? Why are we doing this exercise? We got one more to go. But before we get to that last one, the reason we're doing this and why do we want to actually consciously plan our life? It's to avoid the feeling and emotion of regret. If you're sitting there 90 years old on your rocker and looking back and you're like, man, did I mess up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I should have done that different. That emotional weight, that pain could have been avoided. Yeah. Or hopefully, right? You're not in control of everything, but you can do your best. And
it's like, it's funny, and with this, we'll talk about this on the last one, but I'll just say it now. It's what Wayne Dyer used to say in his lectures is, and it makes so much sense if you can adopt this, is you want to die while you're alive. And to be able to feel that, like, okay, I have a life to live, and here's how I'm going to live it now, not later, now.
Right. The last one is legacy. Well, what does this one's awesome. This one's so fun to think about. What's your lasting legacy? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to give to the world when you leave the earth? One thing I would say to friends is, what do you want written on your gravestone? How do you want to be remembered? That's all legacy. And that becomes really the bigger part of this vision, right? Is you're creating this vision for your life. And then when it comes to an end, how does it end? Right? What do you want? What do you want to continue on at that point? If you want to be forgotten, which some people do, like that's also a legacy. Some people are like, you know what, I don't even, I prefer just to exist and become dust. And that was my life. And that's, to some people, that's amazing and a way of life that they want to live, which is amazing. There's no right or wrong here. It's your life. You can design it how you want. But this one is really, really fun to think about because, I take that back. We do have one more after this.
You got a bonus.
We got a bonus.
A bonus one. There's always a bonus one.
All right.
What's the bonus one?
Bonus one is contribution.
So
it somewhat goes hand in hand with legacy, right? But who or what would you support?
Yeah.
So what type of things, causes do you want to give to? What type of, what's your energy that you're giving back to people, the community, to your family, to yourself, even? Who or what would you support or give back to? What do you care about? And that
this is all good stuff. I mean, going through this kind of makes me think. This whole, like, all these categories, it just spawns like so much more kind of thought. Because you think, well, recreation and fun, really? Work and career, social life, that's those type of things you don't think about. You kind of just do it. But to really kind of design and dream how you want to do this and what you want to do with it is super, super fun. And it, like you said, I mean, just on our conversation here, we really, it really takes some energy to think about like all these different things that you want, and that the dream storming that we're doing is it takes some storming to do it, right? It takes energy. It takes, and you can have so much fun with this. We've done this with so many clients, and they've come out like huge smiles on their faces, and just like, wow. A whole different transformation from depression to adulation. It's been pretty cool. So it's very effective and it's very fun to do.
Yeah, so we got to wrap it up, but we hope you guys enjoyed this. You can reach us at mindcoachsystem.com or info@mindcoachsystem.com. That'll come to Dave and myself. And reach out to us with any questions, comment. Leave us some comments. Definitely give us some thumbs up and stars if necessary. We always appreciate that. But I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and we will be back next week.
See ya.